Just looking at the Packers fan on that.
Yeah, me too.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Gentlemen, we are 59 days away from we all starting the season 1-0. How's it going?
Great.
I'm ready.
Walker, you sound really enthused.
You're enjoying the baseball season. Unlike the rest of us, Foster, I think you're enjoying the baseball season a lot more than we are. I'm ready. Chicago summer sports is over. I'm officially declaring it dead. We've got two last place baseball teams. The Chicago Sky they're trying to make the playoffs, and I don't even know what the soccer teams are doing. Don't even ask me. So I'm happy that at least you're enjoying the summer sports season.
I'm trying to. We're still in fourth place ourselves. You know, we're only ahead of the White Sox, but we're making moves right now. We just took 3 or 4 from the Indians or the Guardians. So.
Pay, you looking as shaky as Caleb over there, man. What's going on?
Let's not start. Caleb's not shaky. Well, my camera, I don't trust AI. That's all this is. My camera keeps doing things that I didn't ask it to do because it keeps seeing my hand. That's why it's focused on my hand. I gotta hide my hands.
Right.
I'm like Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm just gonna keep them out of view. But
sounds like a plan.
Other than that, we have some drama building up right now between some of our teams in the division. There's only 6 first-round draft picks that haven't signed yet. 3 of them are in this division. Dave, do you think you know those 3?
No, there's 4 in the division, and there's 5. One of them's the 6th guy signed. I'm showing just Amarius Mims for the Bengals, the tackle, has yet to sign. And then for the NFC North, we have pick number 17, Dallas Turner, defensive edge, coming to Minnesota out of Alabama, has yet to sign. At pick number 10, the future of the Minnesota Vikings, quarterback J.J. McCarthy, has yet to sign. At pick number 9, Rome Odunze, wide receiver, potential phenom for the Chicago Bears, has yet to sign. And of course, at the top, the savior, Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, quarterback from USC.
Chosen one.
The chosen one. C in Caleb stands for chosen one.
Crap. Cat.
Dave, what do you guys think? What's is it overblown, all the discussion for all these guys that haven't signed yet, most notably the number 1 pick, the chosen one for the Chicago Bears?
I say it's still early.
And I was going to agree with that, June. I'm not worrying for my 2 guys until it's June 22nd or July 22nd. July 21st is when the rookies report to camp for the Vikings, right? And that's just basically an in-processing day. They're not going to do a whole lot. They may get on the field in the afternoon. And I expect to hear something by lunchtime on that day that, hey, here we showed them both signing their contracts. Everything's all grand and glorious, is what I'm expecting. If we get to the 22nd and they haven't signed, then I'm going to start worrying. The issue from what I gather with JJ McCarthy, and I think it's the exact same with Dallas Turner, is that they're wanting all their guarantees up front right now. That's been done before. A lot of teams do it. Teams have done it this year. But the Minnesota Vikings have not done that with their rookies. I think that's going to change. I think they're going to do it anyways. And I have nothing to worry about. Now, what my biggest question is, and it's probably the same up in or over in Chicago, is that I'm hearing that the Savior is asking more than what is slotted, that he wants control on who his receivers are going to be, and also a bunch of other stuff that goes above and beyond what the collective bargaining agreement slates in for rookie quarterbacks.
He knows his worth.
Yes, that was the quote.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a
we're going to
fake
have
quote.
fun. We're going to have fun today.
That's a fake quote. That's a fake quote. What was it? The C in Caleb also stands for cap. This he does. Everybody should know their worth, especially professional sports athletes. They should know their worth. However, the rumors that Caleb is a diva and is looking for more than what's being offered is not necessarily, hasn't been founded in fact as of yet. And I'm gonna leave the door open for some fact finding. However, he is going to be the highest paid rookie quarterback, rookie in general, once he does sign. He's going to get more than what Bryce Young got last year. It's just how the cap goes from year to year to year, right? Absolutely. As what Dave said, this is more than likely just trying to structure language to where you get your bonuses when you want them versus when the team wants to give it to them, so they can hold on to some money, send it over to Citibank or Chase and just let it accrue some, let it build on itself, right? It's always that possibility with it as well. That's usually what it is when it comes to rookies, because most of the contract is set in stone. As far as Caleb and Rome is concerned, they've shown up to every part of the offseason. They've been there even when they wasn't doing anything on field. Speaking about Rome, I have no doubt in my mind that they'll be in Bourbonnais, ready to go next week. The Bears rookies report next week, I believe 7 days from now, on next Wednesday. I have no doubt that they will be there and they will be signed by the time we do this show next week.
Hope you're right.
Gotta be, because the Caleb era is going to start on time. The C in Caleb stands for certified bully.
And I sort of lied. I hope Caleb tries to pull this one off, demanding too much, and we see an absolute clown show. But it'd be interesting to talk about. But no, it's the way the rookie contracts are structured, and it's so much dictated by the CBA. There is not much leeway that any player, any rookie can do. So they either lock in and play or they don't.
That's true. And like we talked about backstage, June and Foster, it's very important for your rookies to show up on time and be there day one, because reps are key.
Right.
You all don't have that issue up there in Detroit, though, right? You guys got your guys ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, Arnold signed a few weeks ago, so we don't have those issues.
Mm-hmm.
Right to work.
Right to work. The Man Campbell credo. Right to work.
Season those kneecaps.
Laurie some down, right? I do want to point out for anybody that was curious, the last 5 number one overall picks in the NFL, they signed around the same time, about mid to late July. Bryce Young last year, he signed on July 22nd. The year before that, Trayvon Walker, he signed May 12th. Trevor Lawrence, the highest paid player in the league, he signed July 5th. Burrow, he signed July 28th. And Kyler Murray, he was also a May baby. He signed May 19th. And to finish it all off, Baker Mayfield, Allstate's very own. Was he a State Farm guy? I don't remember. July 24th for him. So nothing to be too concerned with. So Dave, the future of the Vikings is still going to go right down the stream in the canoe as it should. JJ McCarthy will be in camp when the time is right.
Yeah,
now back to those.
I have no worries on any of them.
As you shouldn't. Now back to those kneecaps, those perfectly seasoned kneecaps that you mentioned there, Foster. There was a signing last month that we haven't gotten around to yet because typically we don't talk about special teams because who does, right? But for the Detroit Lions, I find it to be something you got to talk about, especially when that special teamer is a kicker. Jesse Bates, very popular UFL player this past year. I don't think I know any other UFL player names other than him and AJ McCarron. I mean, the only reason I know AJ McCarron's over there is because he left the NFL to go do something with the UFL. I don't know. Something that would matter for him. But how about Jesse Bates? What's the word on there? Are you all going to be no more Dananomics, no more just going for it on fourth every time down?
Well, that was never completely the philosophy, but obviously, Mr. Bates has experience kicking in Ford Field. He's made several 60-plus yard field goals as a Michigan Panther. So it only made sense to take a look at him and see what he can do in a Lions uniform. So, I haven't heard much as of recently. Obviously, we'll get more into it as we get into training camp and preseason, but it only made sense to give him a shot because he's already comfortable in those confines. Obviously, the pressure goes up a little bit with there being more people in the stands and the stakes being higher, but I'm not mad at it. It gives us an option to kick in situations where we feel that maybe we have to go for it. You want to make the decision on your own merit, not because you feel like you don't trust who you have in charge. So.
I concur. June, what about you, man? How do you feel about this move? Is it because I saw that they cut the previous kicker. What was his name?
Oh, I think they originally signed the guy from Michigan, Turner, and somebody else picked him up. Mm-hmm. I have no gripes with cutting a Michigan player. That's always a good idea, but
tread lightly, Foster. Tread lightly.
Michael Badgley.
But Badgley's still here though, or
is it?
I think Turner is the one that they
cut. And Badgley's still there, so you still have a competition.
Yes. There's definitely
James
a competition.
Turner was an unsigned free agent.
Correct.
So, and they picked up the USFL guy who's kicking right here. So, and from my understanding, it's like if you look, if you paid attention last year, it wasn't a lack of faith in your field goal kicker because we didn't have a lack of faith in the punter and he didn't punt. So it wasn't just like he just didn't have any faith in his field goal kicker. It was just situations where, it's like, okay, we're going to go for the jugular or we're going to take a chance. And those chances were highlighted over the times that he did elect to punt or elected to, kick a field goal. So I don't think there was a lack of faith as far as the field goal kicker. I think the situation is just, let him look like he was being more greedy or taking more of a chance more than a lack of faith, in my opinion.
I hope Mr. Bates does win the job outright coming into camp because 60-yard field goals is something you don't see too often, but I've seen a couple of them at Ford Field. It would be cool to see. Shout out to Tucker.
Yeah, he was gonna bring that one up though. That Baltimore game, boy.
It'd be nice to see one kicked by the home team. That would be cool.
Yeah, haven't
As
had
long as it's not on the Bears.
haven't had a crazy consistent field goal kicker since Hansen.
Oh yeah, Hansen.
Yeah.
If you had one, that gives you an advantage because what? You only play like 3 games outside this year.
Yeah.
I mean, kicking is pretty much an advantage, no matter what the conditions are. If you're confident in your kicker and he can drill that sucker in rain, grass, in a dome, in the snow, that opens up the playbook so much more.
Well, I think the only issue is kicking into the wind when you have a strong wind. So, as opposed to kicking inside of a dome where there's no conditions, your offensive linemen do their assignments and you got to kick. So,
Yeah, I've seen way too many times where balls inside Soldier Field that the Vikings kickers have attempted to go.
Well, that's probably because Chicago's probably doing something aerodynamically to cheat.
Yeah,
Like that.
could be.
I don't trust this Soldier Field.
Let me tell you something, June. If Chicago was cheating, they're the worst cheaters ever.
That two things can be true.
No, they cannot be. I am resolute in this. We are not Boston sports teams. We're not the Boston football team who shall remain nameless right now. They shall remain nameless. We are not the victors of the NCAA. If we were going to do something like them, we would handle business. We would take home the crown just like they did. However,
there's no evidence of that 2023-2014 of any wrongdoings whatsoever. None.
I don't think that's true. I think the evidence is quite.
Can you show me the sanctions? Can you show me the sanctions or anything else?
Oh no, they haven't came yet. Don't worry.
They're not coming, bro.
Hey, they will be on the way.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
See, now you're thinking. See, you're thinking along the lines like you are with Caleb. It's just not going to happen.
The B in Caleb stands for boogeyman. He's going to terrorize everybody. Just you wait. And those sanctions, they may not be now.
Baloney starts with B as well. just saying.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So does bra, which he probably wears. Caleb does. Hey.
This is getting dark.
Whoa! I mean, he wears fingernail polish and wouldn't see.
All the kids do. It's not. It's for aesthetic.
You don't see McCarthy with that stuff on.
I mean, you don't know. You don't know. You just haven't seen it. Just you don't know.
But we've seen it on Caleb.
Yes, you have. You know why? Because Caleb's confident. The C in Caleb stands for confidence.
Most divas are.
Hey, just know that when this era starts and he starts terrorizing the whole division. Yes, the Caleb era. Caleb Williams era.
I just said mascara. My bad.
Nah, that's too far. That's too far.
I'll stop.
He can go.
Understand something. The reign of terror that Caleb's going to put on the league is about to start. The Bears.
Oh, I hate that.
Now, other ways, other way into the division.
White flag. Just don't do that anymore.
Other places in the division. So Netflix has decided that they're going to be a major player in sports. You've already seen they got a NFL package coming for Christmas. They've got F1. They've got I believe Major League Soccer. They've got PGA, and they've been doing a lot of great things as far as reality TV in the lane of sports. Most recently, this Receiver series. Yesterday, I believe it debuted yesterday. They got this second season of the Receiver series this year, highlighting two guys in the division, Almiron St. Brown and Justin Jefferson, two guys that I think are the top 5 wide receivers in the whole league. Have you all had a chance to check that out yet?
Unfortunately, I haven't.
Oh, you're missing out. I've got to watch the first 2 episodes. And I think there's 8 total.
I'm gonna watch them tonight.
I've seen about the same amount as you have, Dave. I've seen 2 episodes, maybe a little bit of the third. The first thing that came to mind when I watched the Justin Jefferson, actually, no, I take that back. I've seen a little bit up until episode 5. The first thing that comes to mind, Justin Jefferson and his head coach Kevin O'Connell.
Mm-hmm.
They've got an intense relationship, man, don't they?
Yes, they do. They like each other.
Where does that come from?
I think that comes from O'Connell believing in JJ. I think Justin Jefferson, you see his parents, you see that he's brought up well. He's got, normal parents, and he's brought up well, respectful, and all this other sort of stuff in a competitive household. But Kevin O'Connell very much believes in Jefferson being a leader. He was made a team captain because of O'Connell, I believe. Now, the team members voted on that. But I think it's they're backing each other up. So, and I think they actually like each other, and they rib each other all constantly, and it's a fun time. It's a great dynamic.
Yeah, I did not know anything about that until just watching this series. That's the one thing you get from these behind the scenes things you get, like Receiver, Hard Knocks has been a one for years. You get to see the person behind the helmet. And
quarterback last year with Kirk Cousins. Mm-hmm.
Those type of things brings you into the huddle, not to be all cliche about it, but it makes the connection between fan and player just becomes a lot closer. And I appreciate that, from my opinion. Almiron St. Brown, Foster, how are you liking his portrayal so far?
It's cool to see. He's saying all the right things, obviously, as far as the new contract and having to live up to that and stuff like that. But it was interesting to see what type of injuries and ailments he had and how he was able to persevere and get through that. A separated oblique certainly doesn't sound very doesn't sound very comfortable, but also having that hand, foot, and mouth sickness in the Raiders game and having blisters on his feet that felt like needles. That just sounds awful. It's hard enough to play football, I would imagine, as is, but I think he wore some type of mask over his face to kind of hide the sore, all that type of stuff. That is, it's bad enough that people are trying to take your head off every play. So to have to work through that game. I think, June, you went to the Raiders game, didn't you?
Yes, but I don't have hand, foot, and mouth disease, if that's what you're trying to get to.
Moral of the story was June's fault. He passed that along to now. I think that he's kind of displaying that he's the kind of model person to be the face of the team along with the Jared Goff. So I like the portrayal that he's being given.
Does it explain where he gets the hand, foot, and mouth disease? I haven't got that far.
I don't. Are we working at a daycare or something? Like what is going on? Like, that's something the kids get.
I'm sure he's been around kids at some point. I don't know.
I took it as like something like MRSA in a sense, a little bit, because as they've said plenty of times, St. Brown's dad, it was a 2-time Mr. Universe or something like that, or yeah. So I've seen the workouts he was putting his kids through. Mm-hmm. They be in the gym.
Yeah,
this is, MRSA is something they commonly you would get from a lot of gym exposure. So
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very,
Interesting.
very possible.
You remember what was it, 10, 15, 20 years ago when the Browns and the Browns stadium in their training office, everybody started coming down with staph infections?
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I remember that.
I can see that.
And they had to go in and clean and sanitize, and then get another round and clean and sanitize and another. It just,
Sounds
I can imagine that
Yeah,
being.
that could be a mess.
Yeah, they got enough dirtiness going on in the Raiders facility. Yeah, I do remember that, Dave. It was something. I'm trying to remember the exact sickness they was passing through. It wasn't like chicken pox, nothing like that, but it was something that was taking people off the board left and right.
Well, for the Browns, it was staph infections.
Oh yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, it just sounds.
Imagine getting staph infection, and you on the team, and your team that you play for is named the Browns.
Okay.
Even his camera said, nope.
Yeah.
Hey,
Cut.
With that said, let's go ahead and take a break real quick. We'll come back. We'll talk about these latest comments concerning the 18-game schedule from Joe Burrow.
no, brother.
Elsewhere across the NFL, there's been a lot of talk about Joe Burrow's recent comments concerning the NFL maybe increasing the games played in a season to 18, which they've been trying to do for generations, it feels like. I think this is something they wanted to do back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard, just a little context, Joe Burrow was on a podcast. I don't know the podcast name, so I can't get a proper shout out. But he said he would be cool with it, but they got to give us 2 bye weeks. One of those bye weeks is to make it something like similar to what the NBA, WNBA, and some other NHL, what they do is put the Pro Bowl right in that bye week and make it somewhat like a fan celebration, something like that. And then have the other bye week towards after what was it, week 14, I think he said, something like that. And it's getting a lot of mixed reaction from what. So for what, I'll just go ahead and ask you guys, June, what's your thoughts on 18 games?
Well, they would probably, I would imagine them taking away a preseason game to do so. But at the same time, that's one of those games where a lot of those starters don't really play. A lot of the people that are trying to make the team are usually playing in that 3rd and 4th preseason game. And I think it's money. It's all about money. It's all about money. The NFL wants that money. So instead of a preseason game, we'll make it a regular season game, and we'll reap the benefits of that. I think the NFL season with 17 games, because it was 16, and 17 games is long enough. However, I think the execs are getting kind of greedy. Just my perspective. I think 17 games is good enough.
What about you, Foster? It's 17 games good enough? And how do you feel about Joe Burrow's plan for the first bye week? Is that a good place to place the Pro Bowl?
So I feel like that's a really small sample size to select a Pro Bowl situation. I mean, the season is already, when you talk about other sports, obviously 17 games is already not it's not a lot of games, but obviously football is a little different. So I feel like a 8-game sample size to this or whatever will be to decide a Pro Bowl would be kind of awkward, but I don't know. I mean, the idea of having 18 games, I mean, it does bring it back to an even number of games, which is what we're used to. But I think that the early, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because no one really cares about the Pro Bowl anyways. So
No,
there's always that, caveat that it's really not all that important one way or another. But like June says, it definitely comes back to money and being able to capitalize on having that extra game to obtain revenue and eliminating one of the preseason games. Hopefully it doesn't create more injuries because you're playing one more full-on game of action, of real football action, as opposed to a preseason game where starters really don't play.
I think when I heard it the first time, I'm sorry, it was on the Pardon My Take podcast. Thanks, Tim. When I heard it the first time, the room started spinning when I heard him say, "Yeah, let's use that first bye week for the Pro Bowl." I was like, "Oh, wait. So we're gonna have what, 25 straight weeks of football, Joe Burrow?" I think Joe Burrow forgot he chose football over basketball. I think you do need to have a little bit of a break for your body just to recover. Dave, how's it all landing with you?
I expect the NFL will move to an 18-game season. I agree with June. Most likely they'll drop a preseason game because of it. So they're playing roughly the same amount of games. That's fine. If they do go to an 18-game season, there should be 2 bye weeks. They should plan them better. One, third of the way in, and the second one, third of the way out type deal or close to it. I think that's perfectly fine. That it bumps out the Super Bowl, gets it closer to the holiday. So everybody's happy there. That I do believe will happen. As for the Pro Bowl, I think that's idiotic. Absolutely stupid. There is going to be no team that's going to allow their players to go play a meaningless flag football game or skills competition, no matter what it is, during a bye week with the risk, however slight it may be, that they pop their Achilles and are done for the season just because of a BS game. That will not happen. I guarantee it. They won't allow that to happen. The Pro Bowl will happen as usual the week before the Super Bowl, and it'll involve all the best players as voted mostly by the fans. It's the popularity contest, and they'll go play their flag football, and any of the players on the 2 teams going to the Super Bowl, they'll sit it out because they're getting ready for the Super Bowl, and it'll be exactly the way it is now. The whole idea of making a mid-season celebration like the All-Star game in baseball or in the NBA or hockey, no, not going to happen. Not for football. They worry too much when they don't have players under control where they can see them now. This is the worst time of year, right? When the players are outside their control. And you think they're going to allow them to do something stupid on a week during a bye week? No. Not a chance.
Football players tend to the highly paid football players, and we've seen this dating all the way back to the late 80s in that strike. The highly paid ones, the one that's more the most vocal, the ones most visible, they tend to say things that are not pro labor, but pro boss, pro owner, stuff like that.
Pro the league.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Joe Burrow's comments, it sounds like something that you would want to hear from an owner. You're like, okay, it's whatever brings in more dollars, whatever helps us get out of any type of financial crisis we might have, because the NFL is in 3 separate lawsuits right now. They might be losing one of those to take away a good chunk of their money.
$14 billion. Mm-hmm.
And that's on that's on the heels of being reported that they made 13B last year. But back to Joe Burrow. Things like this just reminds me of that there is a very, very elite class of football player who sees the game in dollars and cents, and everybody else who sees the game and, hey man, I just want to make it out alive. 18 games though. I mean,
It's a lot of football.
we all love football.
Yes,
we all love football. I don't think there's not another month without football until March, but I don't need 18 weeks. Now, I do like the fact that if 18 weeks came, it will push the Super Bowl to right on that same weekend with President's Day, and we all get that extra day off to recover. That's the only cool part about it.
Yeah,
Other than that,
but we see it anyways. When it was a 16-game season, we had 4 standard preseason games.
mhm.
We go to 17 games, we went to 3 preseason games. We go to 18 games, and we go to 2, and it's still the total of 20 games prior to the playoffs.
Still same amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
we don't need all these preseason games for one. You know, two of them is just fine. You get your scrimmages, you got your 2 preseason games, you got your what do you call it? Dual practice. Other than that, you're fine. September football is pretty bad as it is. They use that as their preseason. Do we have to have an additional preseason in which they actually charge the same type of regular season prices for those games? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let's just go ahead and call it what it is. Let's cut down on those games. If you want to give us more real football, more actual football that matters to the standings, fine. But get rid of all those other ones that don't, especially with those high ticket prices.
We'll find out. I bet it happens. And I bet it's in conjunction with the players wanting to have the longer summer break and then the slower ramp up towards the season.
Oh, that's a good one, Dave. Do you think that's a good trade-off?
If that's what the players want and they believe they need, yeah, I think it'll be fine. Because then you can cut down those preseason games to 2 because you're getting more eyeballs. Now, they're not going to start the physical hitting of training camp until those last 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, the whole thing. But you've got longer there to do the installs, reinforce those, teach people to run the correct routes, the correct plays, make the correct calls, all that sort of stuff. And there isn't the hop, skip, and jump. All right, now you're off. Make sure you take care of yourself.
I don't know. I'm a little different. I've always been pro-union, pro-labor. I mean, I'm not even in a union right now, but I've always felt that way, right? To me, if you want to actually do more work, I need more money.
Well, I got that, but that's what the players are asking for.
And they need to hire me to be their executive for their union because they keep taking the L every time it's time to walk in the room with them owners. What about June? Is that a good trade-off? We get more consecutive days off in the summer, and we'll give you that. We'll give you that 18 game.
I guess, but one thing I worry about with these changes, right, brings amongst more changes, right? So they talk about 18 games. At some point, they're going to expand the playoffs as well. So it's that summer isn't going to be as long as as anticipated at some point, because soon as you see the results of the money, you're going to figure out more ways to get more money because it's just it's an ongoing cycle. All right. The players are going to say, hey, we're still getting the same salary over 18 games as we were over 17. We want more money. So the NFL said, we got to make more money. Okay, let's just throw another round of playoffs in there.
You're probably right, June. And I agree that players, once they hit that 18th game, they're going to want an 18th paycheck.
Yeah.
Because the last time they did the schedule, when they added the 17th game, they didn't the paychecks didn't get larger. You actually could pay decrease, obviously, because you're doing more work for the same amount of money. The middle class of the league, they got a slight bump. I'm talking about the last CBA they ran. So the last CBA, when they added that 17th game, the top of the league, the more visible players, the Joe Burrows of the world, they got a decrease. They got to pay decrease. The middle class, they got a little bit of a slight bump, and that's how you end up getting these things passed through. You throw some money to the players who don't make that much, and then they'll vote in large to get that contract passed through. But I think they got to be lockstep in these type of things. Look, if I'm putting my body on the line, putting my brain on the line for the same amount of money or even less money, we got to come to a different type of agreement. I don't want 50-50 on the revenue. I don't even want 55-45. I'm gonna start talking 60. I need 60. I need an extreme bump. You just got billions of dollars on Netflix. You got Amazon's taking over sports in general, and they're going to give you more billions in as the times go past. You can afford it. Maybe if you stop overcharging and ending up in these antitrust suits, you'll have more money. But that ain't my problem.
I agree with you, and it's probably going to take doing that, changing the split from where it is right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, but if they go in there and ask them about that, they probably take another L. It'll be another lockout, and then they'll figure out a way to break the union once again. Let's go ahead and take another break before we start to shut down. Final segment for this week's NFC Roundtable, Who Will Be King, is going to end on a little bit of a somber note. Dave, a rookie from the Minnesota Vikings, tragically lost his life in a car accident last week. Kyrie Jackson. You want to talk to that a little bit?
Kyrie Jackson was our 4th round rookie that we selected. He had played for Alabama and then Oregon. He was a 6'4" corner that ran under 4.5, 4.45. He had a bright future ahead of him. On late or early Saturday morning, he was driving with 2 of his high school football buddies in a Dodge Charger, along with a couple of other cars. One of the cars, who was speeding, tried to pass, misjudged it, clipped the car he was in. He was in the passenger seat, front passenger seat. Caused the car to careen off the road. There were some tree stumps in the ditch area, and it totally destroyed the car. If you've seen pictures, there was no survivors. One made it to the hospital before he died, but that was the backseat guy. But both Kyrie and the driver were dead instantly. And it's a shame. And alcohol was involved with the young lady that did the passing and failed to successfully do it. It's a sad time in Vikings land. It shocked a lot of the fans. I know it shocked the team. It's one of the things that Kevin O'Connell's going to have to deal with. This is a test for any head coach. When suddenly you lose a teammate, and it's a mortality check for young people. He was 24 at that age, and being a football player with stars lining up and a bright future. You think you're invincible. Well, that's not quite the case, and unfortunately, it could show you how quickly life can be taken for granted and taken from us. So my thoughts and prayers go out to his friends and his family and the team, his teammates, both on the Vikings and at Oregon and even Alabama. And it's a terrible loss. And to our fans are struggling with it this week. And it's been rough. And it's one of those things. It's one of those things coaches fear is when, they don't have control of their players. And it's nothing he did. He did absolutely nothing. He was just the passenger. He wasn't drunk. He's behaving himself. It's sad. It's real sad.
Very.
Any thoughts or on the situation there, June?
Just a tragedy. It's just a tragedy. It's another going too soon moment. You hate to hear about these things, and just my thoughts, prayers, good vibes goes towards the family and friends of those 3 young men that lost their lives. So all I have to say is just it's sad.
Yeah, I didn't know much about Kyrie Jackson. I didn't know much about him, and it's unfortunate. This is how I learned that his name, that the day that he passed. It's extremely unfortunate. Drunk driving is not only careless, but it's selfish. Another one gone too soon, like you said, June. We need to figure out a way to stop putting ourselves and our fellow men in harm's way by doing the very least that you can do while having a good time.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a little moment of silence before we start closing up shop. Joan, where can they see you guys at Bleachers to Speakers and Cornucopia? Get all the Detroit sports information that anybody been searching for.
You can catch us if you subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. You can also, for your audio feed, any podcast streaming platforms, we are available. All you have to do is type in Bleachers to Speakers, FFSN, hit the follow button so you'll get the notifications when we drop. Those platforms that we're talking about as far as audio feed is Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. Anywhere you can find a podcast streaming platform, you can find us there.
Any place so we can find the Vikings First and Skull, Dave. Help the good people out.
Hey, Vikings First and Skull. Primarily, you can find us on Vikings First and Skull YouTube, Vikings First and Skull podcasts, any podcast aggregator. We're on all of them. And if you're using one that it isn't there, please let us know. We'll get it there. As well as occasional writings over at Fans First Sports Network under the Vikings tab. All you got to do is write VikingsFirstandSkull.com and it'll drive you right there. And plus, we are on Facebook at Vikings First and Skull. And I suggest if you want to learn a little bit more about Kyrie Jackson, we did a tribute show this last Monday on Vikings First and Skull. Plus, you can go back and see if you want to learn about him. He was a star in the making. We were hoping he would earn a starting job, and just it's sad, but we move on. The season doesn't stop.
Yeah, the season won't stop. Well, let's DeMar Hamlin. If you're watching this, you're probably aware of the Bear Claw podcast, one of the official Chicago Bears show on the Frustrated Chicago Sports Channel under the Fans First Sports Network umbrella. We are giving you everything Bears in a 30 to 45 minute clip. If you go ahead and go to our YouTube at Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell so you never miss a drop We drop something every day, sometimes twice a day. So definitely don't want to be late for that. And like June said, every podcast aggregator, we are available. Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever. Dave, what do we say on the way out?
Skull Vikings.
That's right. Detroit, Motown, Mambas. What does Bleachers to Speakers got to say?
Before we do that, I promise not to do that if you don't hit that button and you hear that crazy. Okay, no, never mind.
Go Lions. Go Lions. All right. And from all of Chicago.
Bears.